The moment you truly begin to heal, everything changes. Not because they've changed, but because they've realized they can no longer control you the way they used to. And that's when they reach for their most dangerous script. Not rage. Not insults. Not threats. Something far more convincing. If you've ever noticed a narcissist suddenly becoming calmer, more reflective, more emotional, more self-aware, right when you were finally moving on, you're not imagining it. In fact, that's often the moment they realized something terrifying. Their psychological grip is slipping. For the first time, your silence isn't punishment. It's peace. Your distance isn't revenge. It's freedom. And to someone who built their sense of power around controlling your emotions, your healing feels like losing. Read that again. Your healing feels like their defeat. At first, they test the old buttons. A message. A guilt trip. A subtle insult. A reminder of the past. They're waiting for the version of you that always reacted. The version that defended yourself. Explained yourself. Chased them. Cried. Argued. But this time, nothing happens. You don't explode. You don't beg. You don't explain. You simply continue living your life. That's when panic quietly begins. Because your emotional neutrality tells them something they've been avoiding. They no longer control the story. This is where it traps so many people. The blame suddenly disappears. The anger softens. The person who insisted everything was your fault now says, "I've been doing a lot of thinking. I know I made mistakes. I've changed. I finally understand." It sounds like accountability. It sounds like the breakthrough you waited months, maybe years, to hear. But look closer. Real accountability asks for nothing. It doesn't demand another chance. It doesn't pressure you to forgive. It doesn't expect immediate trust. Manipulation always wants something in return. If every apology is followed by another conversation, another meeting, another opportunity to reconnect, the apology wasn't the destination. It was the key. They aren't trying to heal the relationship. They're trying to reopen the door you finally closed. And once that door opens, the cycle has a way back in. This is where their performance often becomes even more convincing. Suddenly they're talking about healing, therapy, boundaries, self-awareness, childhood wounds, personal growth. Almost as if they've transformed into the person you always believed they could become. But notice something. Their words evolve much faster than their behavior. Because mimicking insight is far easier than living it. They've watched you grow. They've listened to the language you've learned. Now they're speaking that same language back to you. Not necessarily because they've changed, but because they've discovered what lowers your defenses. This is emotional mirroring at its most sophisticated. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. If vulnerability doesn't work, urgency usually follows. Suddenly there's a crisis. A family emergency. Financial problems. A health scare. Depression. Loneliness. Something that supposedly only you can understand. Only you can fix. Only you can save. Ask yourself this. Why does the emergency always appear when you're finally at peace? Because this isn't always about the crisis itself. It's about re-establishing emotional access. The moment you become emotionally invested again, the connection begins rebuilding itself. Slowly, quietly, almost without you noticing. Then comes nostalgia. They remind you of the vacation, the laughter, the late-night conversations, the moments that felt real. Notice what they never bring up. The manipulation, the lies, the emotional exhaustion, the sleepless nights, the confusion. They don't remind you of the pattern. They remind you of the exceptions. Because trauma bonds aren't maintained by pain alone. They're maintained by unpredictable rewards. Your brain remembers relief almost as strongly as it remembers suffering. And that's exactly what they're counting on. This is where so many people mistake longing for love. But longing isn't proof that the relationship was healthy. It's proof that the emotional conditioning hasn't completely faded. But what happens if you still don't come back? The script changes again. The calm disappears. The victim appears. Now you're the cruel one. You're cold. You're selfish. You've abandoned someone who's trying. To friends. To family. To anyone willing to listen. Your healing becomes evidence of your lack of compassion. Because if they can't control how you see them, they'll try to control how others see you. Not because it's true. Because protecting the image has always mattered more than protecting the relationship. Here's the truth that changes everything. None of these tactics prove they love you. They prove they noticed you stopped needing them. There's a difference. Love celebrates your growth. Control fears it. Healthy relationships become stronger when both people heal. Manipulative relationships become unstable the moment one person does. That's why your progress often triggers their greatest effort. Not because you've become weaker. Because you've become unreachable. Read that again. Your healing isn't making them love you more. It's making them lose control. This is why emotional neutrality is so powerful. Not because it hurts them. Because it protects you. Gray Rock isn't about revenge. It isn't about winning. It's about refusing to feed a cycle that survives on emotional reactions. Every boundary you keep. Every silence you protect. Every moment you trust your own reality instead of their rewritten version. You strengthen something they can never manipulate again. Your sense of self. And that is the one thing they were always trying to take from you. One day you'll look back and realize something that once seemed impossible. They didn't stop trying because they finally changed. They stopped because your healing became stronger than their script. And once someone can no longer control your emotions, they've already lost the only power they ever truly had.